Fear is the most honest emotion in trading. While greed lies to you, while hope misleads you, fear tells the truth. The question isn't whether you feel fear. Every trader does, even the legends. The question is, do you understand what your fear is telling you? Because there are 5 distinct types of trading fear, each with different neuroscience, different philosophical implications, and different solutions. Most traders only recognize one, and they fight all 5 with the same blunt instrument: willpower. This is why they lose. This is the psychological trader, and today we're going deep into the psychology and philosophy of fear. You'll discover the 5 types of fear that affect every trader, the neuroscience behind each, the ancient wisdom that illuminates them, and the practical frameworks to transform each type from enemy to advisor. This is the complete guide. Let's begin. Before we explore the 5 types, you need to understand what fear actually is. Fear is a survival mechanism. Your amygdala, a small almond-shaped structure deep in your brain, processes threats faster than your conscious mind can think. When you see red on your screen, when you watch your account value drop, your amygdala activates in zero point 0.1 seconds. Before you even know you're afraid, your body is already responding. This is what neuroscientist Joseph LeDoux calls the fear cascade. Stage 1. The trigger. You see a loss on your screen. Your amygdala activates instantly, before conscious thought. Stage 2. Physical response. Within 1 to 3 seconds, your heart rate increases. Cortisol and adrenaline flood your bloodstream. Your hands may sweat. Muscles tense. Stage 3. Cognitive impairment. Your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for rational decision-making, partially goes offline. Your thinking narrows. You develop tunnel vision. Memory access becomes difficult. Stage 4. Behavioral reaction. You make impulsive decisions. Close positions at the worst time. Add to losing trades. Abandon your trading plan entirely. This entire cascade happens in seconds. Now, here's what makes this relevant to trading. Your amygdala evolved over millions of years to respond to physical threats. Lions, snakes, rival tribes. It did not evolve to handle financial threats, but it responds to them the same way. The Stoic philosopher Seneca understood this 2,000 years ago. He wrote, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." This is profoundly true in trading. Your amygdala doesn't distinguish between actual threat and imagined threat. A paper loss triggers the same fear response as a real loss. An unrealized gain you might lose creates the same anxiety as losing money you already had. The Buddhists understood this differently. They taught that fear arises from attachment. You fear loss because you're attached to the outcome. You fear missing out because you're attached to what others have. Both perspectives reveal truth, and both offer wisdom for traders. Now, let's explore the 5 types. Fear type number 1, fear of loss. This is the most common and the most studied. The psychological pain of losing money. Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky won a Nobel Prize for proving something traders feel every day. Losses hurt approximately 2.25 times more than equivalent gains feel good. This is called loss aversion, and it's not a character flaw. It's how your brain is wired. When you're losing money, your amygdala treats it like physical pain. Brain imaging studies using functional MRI show that the same neural regions activate. The anterior insula, which processes physical pain, lights up when you experience financial loss. Your body floods with cortisol, the stress hormone. Your thinking narrows to one focus: stop the pain. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, wrote in his Meditations, "Loss is nothing else but change, and change is nature's delight." The Stoics practiced what they called negative visualization, or premeditatio malorum. They contemplated loss before it happened. Not to be pessimistic, but to remove the shock when loss arrived. Seneca would imagine losing his wealth, his status, even his life. By accepting these possibilities in advance, he removed their power to disturb him. In Buddhism, this principle appears as non-attachment, the recognition that all things are impermanent, including your capital. When you cling to profit or resist loss, you create suffering. So how does fear of loss manifest in trading? You move your stop loss further away when price approaches it. You hold losing positions too long, telling yourself, it will come back. You trade position sizes so small that even when you win, you can never win meaningfully. Jesse Livermore experienced this in 1907. He held a losing cotton position because he couldn't accept being wrong. He lost his fortune. Later, he wrote, "I was more eager to be right than to make money." The counter strategy is what I call the loss acceptance protocol. Before you enter any trade, predetermine your maximum acceptable loss, both in dollars and as a percentage of your account. Then, and this is the critical part, visualize taking that loss. Mentally rehearse the moment when your stop is hit. Say to yourself, I accept that I may lose this amount on this trade. If I do, I will exit according to my plan, and it will not affect my emotional state. This removes the shock. When the loss happens, it's not a surprise. You've already accepted it. This prevents the desperate holding pattern that destroys accounts. Fear type number 2, fear of missing out, FOMO. The anxiety that everyone is profiting except you. FOMO activates a different part of your brain than fear of loss. It activates your nucleus accumbens, the brain's reward center. This is anticipatory dopamine. Your brain imagines the reward of the trade everyone is talking about, and it craves that reward intensely. Social comparison amplifies this. When you see others posting gains on social media, your interior cingulate cortex activates. This is the same region that processes social pain and rejection. At a neurological level, missing out feels like being excluded from the tribe. And for our evolutionary ancestors, tribal exclusion meant death. The Taoist concept of Wu Wei offers profound wisdom here. Wu Wei means effortless action, or non-forcing. It's the idea of moving with the natural flow rather than forcing outcomes. LeDoux wrote in the Tao Te Ching, "Nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished." FOMO is the opposite of Wu Wei. It's forcing yourself into the market because you can't stand to be still. It's acting from anxiety rather than opportunity. The Stoics would add their perspective. Epictetus taught that suffering comes from trying to control what you cannot control. You cannot control whether the market provides opportunities at the moment you're watching. You can only control whether you follow your strategy when genuine opportunities appear. FOMO makes you chase price after it's already moved. Enter trades outside your strategy. Over-leverage on setups you don't understand. Trade assets simply because everyone is talking about them. The 2021 meme stock mania is a perfect example. GameStop, AMC, retail traders entering at the top because they couldn't stand missing the party. Not because the setup was sound, not because it fit their strategy, but because their social media feeds were full of people claiming to get rich. Most of them lost everything. The counter strategy is the FOMO filter system. Before any trade, ask yourself one simple question. Did I plan to trade this yesterday? If the answer is no, it's FOMO, not opportunity. FOMO. When you identify FOMO, close your trading platform immediately. Set a 30-minute timer. During those 30 minutes, write down exactly why you want to take this trade. After 30 minutes, evaluate what you wrote against your strategy criteria. Does it genuinely meet your standards? Or was it just the dopamine talking? Usually, after 30 minutes, the FOMO has passed, and you realize you don't actually want the trade. You wanted the feeling the trade promised. Fear type number 3. Fear of being wrong. Ego fear. The terror of admitting you made a mistake. This fear is particularly destructive because it masquerades as confidence. You tell yourself you're being convicted, disciplined, strong, but you're actually protecting your ego. Being wrong activates the same brain regions as social rejection. Your sense of identity feels threatened. For people who identify as intelligent or analytical, this threat is even more intense. Ironically, the smarter you think you are, the more painful it becomes to be proven wrong. Research by psychologist Leon Festinger on cognitive dissonance shows that humans will go to extraordinary lengths to avoid admitting error. We'll reinterpret evidence, rationalize failures, even destroy our trading accounts rather than admit we were wrong. Socrates, perhaps the wisest philosopher in history, said, "I know that I know nothing." This is the beginning of wisdom. Not claiming to know, but admitting ignorance. Not needing to be right, but being willing to be wrong. In Zen Buddhism, there's a concept called shoshin, or beginner's mind. It's the practice of approaching each situation fresh, without preconceptions, without the burden of being the expert who already knows. The Stoics would frame it differently. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If someone can prove me wrong and show me my mistake in any thought or action, I shall gladly change, for I seek the truth, which never harmed anyone." Your worth is not determined by being right. Character comes from how you respond when you're wrong. This fear makes you double down on losing trades. Argue with the market. Add to losing positions to lower your average price, a practice called averaging down or catching a falling knife. You refuse to take stop losses because taking them would mean admitting the trade failed. Long-term capital management is the ultimate cautionary tale. 1998. A hedge fund run by Nobel Prize-winning economists. Brilliant mathematical minds. Too brilliant, they believed, to be wrong. When the Russian financial crisis proved their models incorrect, they couldn't accept it. They added to positions. They argued with reality itself. They lost $4.6 billion and nearly crashed the global financial system. Intelligence without humility is catastrophic. The counter strategy is the ego separation protocol. The practice begins with a fundamental reframe. You are not your profit and loss. You are not your trading results. You are not right or wrong. You are a person who follows a process or doesn't follow a process. That's the only measure that matters. Practice saying out loud, "I was wrong about this trade." Say it when you're alone. Say it to your trading journal. Normalize the experience of being wrong. Celebrate changing your mind. When new information appears and you reverse your position, that's not weakness. That's flexibility. That's intelligence. Fear type number 4. Fear of success. This is the paradoxical fear, the unconscious belief that you don't deserve to win. Most traders don't even know they have this fear. They consciously want success. They work toward it. They study and practice. But unconsciously, they sabotage themselves every time they get close. This is related to imposter syndrome, first identified by psychologists Pauline Clance and Suzanne Imes in 1978. The feeling that you're a fraud who doesn't deserve your success. Your self-concept has limits, unconscious boundaries of what you believe you're capable of. You might consciously want to be a $50,000 trader, but unconsciously believe, I'm a $10,000 trader. When you exceed that unconscious limit, your brain experiences cognitive dissonance. Success feels uncomfortable, unfamiliar, even threatening. Failure, paradoxically, feels safe because it's familiar. So you unconsciously create failure to return to your comfort zone. Author Gay Hendricks calls this the upper limit problem. You hit an invisible ceiling of how much success you believe you deserve. And when you approach that ceiling, you unconsciously sabotage yourself. Carl Jung would call this shadow work. The parts of yourself you haven't integrated into conscious awareness. The belief that I'm not good enough lurking beneath the surface. Abraham Maslow placed this at the self-actualization level of his hierarchy of needs. The question isn't, can I survive? The question is, can I become who I'm truly capable of being? And for some people, that question is more terrifying than poverty. The pattern is distinctive. You build your account steadily for weeks or months. Disciplined trading, following your plan, everything working. Then, the moment you hit a new account high, within days or even hours, you take a reckless trade. Something completely outside your strategy. You blow up a significant portion of your gains. You return to comfortable territory, and the cycle repeats. I've watched traders go from $10,000 to $15,000 three separate times. Each time they hit 15,000, within a week they're back to 10. This isn't strategy failure. It's psychological sabotage. They don't consciously think, I should destroy this. They just suddenly feel that a risky trade is a good idea. The feeling is the sabotage. The counter strategy is the success acceptance protocol. First, awareness. Track when you self-sabotage. What account level triggers it? What thoughts or feelings precede the reckless trade? Then before you reach that threshold again, do identity work. Visualize yourself as a $15,000 trader. Not in the future. Now. As if it's already true. What fears arise when you do this visualization? What beliefs surface? I don't deserve this. This is too good to be true. People like me don't succeed at this level. Those are the beliefs sabotaging you. Address them before you hit the threshold. Practically, after a win streak of 3 or more trades, reduce your position size by 50% on the next trade. This protects you while your identity catches up to your success. Fear type number 5. Fear of ruin. The existential fear of losing everything. This is the most primitive fear, the fear of extinction, and it activates the deepest parts of your survival brain. When you're trading with money, you cannot afford to lose. Every trade triggers this fear. Your amygdala is in a constant state of activation. Your prefrontal cortex is constantly suppressed. You cannot think clearly in this state. You cannot make rational decisions. You cannot trade effectively. This is why the first rule of trading is never trade with money you need. The Stoics practiced what they called premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils, the deliberate contemplation of worst-case scenarios. Seneca would imagine losing his wealth, his property, his status. He would sit with these imagined losses until they no longer disturbed him. This wasn't pessimism. It was preparation. If he could accept the worst case, nothing could shake him. Nassim Taleb's philosophy of anti-fragility is deeply relevant here. The question isn't, what will I gain? The question is, what can I afford to lose? Skin in the game is necessary. You must have something at risk, or you won't take trading seriously. But you must have skin you can afford to lose. Otherwise, the fear of ruin makes you fragile, not anti-fragile. This fear manifests in two distinct ways. Healthy fear of ruin. You're trading with 10% of your net worth. You respect the risk. You follow strict position sizing. The fear keeps you disciplined, but doesn't paralyze you. Unhealthy fear of ruin. You're trading with rent money. Every loss feels like potential disaster. You're paralyzed. You can't take any trade because any loss is unbearable. Ask yourself this question. If I lost 50% of my trading account tomorrow, would I be okay? Not happy, not thrilled, but okay. Would my life continue? Could I handle it emotionally and financially? If the answer is no, your account is too large, or you're not ready to trade yet. If the answer is yes, the fear of ruin is at a manageable level. Use it for discipline, not paralysis. The counter strategy is the ruin prevention system. It has both mathematical and psychological components. Mathematically, never trade with more than 10% of your total net worth. Never risk more than 1% of your account on a single trade. After a 10% account drawdown, reduce all position sizes by 50%. After a 20% drawdown, stop trading and review your entire approach. Psychologically, have a 6-month emergency fund completely separate from your trading capital. Have an income source that doesn't depend on trading. Treat trading as growth capital, not survival money. These aren't just risk management rules. They're psychological safety nets. They ensure that fear of ruin remains healthy and protective, not paralyzing and destructive. These 5 fears don't exist in isolation. They interact. They compound. They amplify each other. Fear of loss combined with FOMO creates the whipsaw pattern. You hold losing trades too long because you can't accept the loss. Then you chase the next opportunity out of desperation, trying to make back what you lost. This creates more losses, which creates more FOMO. Fear of being wrong combined with fear of success creates a particularly destructive pattern. You can't admit when trades fail, so you hold them past your stops. But you also can't handle sustained winning, so you unconsciously create failures through reckless trades. You're trapped between ego protection and self-sabotage. Understanding how your specific fears interact is essential. Now, let's integrate the philosophical framework across all 5 fears. The Stoics, the Buddhists, and the Taoists all arrived at similar conclusions through different paths. Fear arises from attachment to outcomes you cannot control. The Stoic solution: focus only on what you can control. Your preparation, your discipline, your response to events. Not the market's movement. Not whether this particular trade wins or loses. Epictetus taught, Make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens. The Buddhist solution: practice non-attachment. Trade without clinging to profit or desperately avoiding loss. Execute your system with equanimity, accepting whatever results arise. This doesn't mean you don't care about results. It means you don't let results disturb your inner state. The Taoist solution: Wu Wei, effortless action. Move with the market, not against it. Don't force trades. Don't resist losses. Flow. All three traditions teach the same fundamental truth. Fear loses its power when you stop trying to control what you cannot control. Now the practical framework. For each of the 5 fears, you now have a counter-strategy protocol: the loss acceptance protocol, the FOMO filter system, the ego separation protocol, the success acceptance protocol, the ruin prevention system. But the master key that makes all of these work is this: build systems that make fear irrelevant. Predetermine your entry criteria, your exit criteria, your position size, your response to every possible scenario the market might present. Make these decisions when you're calm, when your prefrontal cortex is fully online, when fear isn't flooding your system. Then, in the moment of fear, you're not making decisions. You're executing decisions you already made. Preparation removes emotion. Systems replace willpower. This is how professional traders operate. Which of these 5 fears dominates your trading? Most traders have one primary fear and 2 secondary fears. Identifying yours is the first step to mastery. Ask yourself these questions. Do you hold losing trades too long, hoping they'll come back? That's fear of loss. Do you chase trades outside your strategy because everyone is talking about them? That's FOMO. Do you refuse to exit trades at your stop because that would mean admitting you were wrong? That's ego fear. Do you sabotage yourself with reckless trades immediately after reaching new account highs? That's fear of success. Do you feel paralyzed, unable to take trades because every potential loss feels catastrophic? That's fear of ruin. Be honest with yourself. Which pattern do you recognize most clearly in your own trading? In the companion workbook, there's a complete fear profile assessment. It will show you exactly which fears are controlling your trading decisions and which protocols you should prioritize. You now understand the 5 types of fear, the neuroscience behind each, the philosophical wisdom that illuminates them, and the practical counter-strategies. But understanding is not mastery. Mastery comes from practice. Start with one fear, your dominant fear, the one you identified a moment ago. Implement one protocol. For the next 7 days, your only goal is awareness. Simply notice when that fear arises. Name it. This is fear of loss. This is FOMO. This is my ego trying to protect itself. Awareness is the first step. You cannot change what you cannot see. Then, in week 2, begin to interrupt the cascade. Before fear becomes action, intervene. Use the protocol. If it's fear of loss, implement the loss acceptance protocol before your next trade. If it's FOMO, use the 30-minute filter. If it's ego fear, practice the ego separation reframe. You won't get it perfect. You'll still feel the fear. Sometimes the fear will still win. That's expected. That's part of the process. But over time, something changes. The neural pathway from fear trigger to protocol response begins to strengthen. The pathway from fear trigger to destructive action begins to weaken. This is neuroplasticity. This is how you literally rewire your brain. The companion workbook has a complete 30-day implementation plan. Week by week, fear by fear, building the complete fear mastery system. You'll find the link in the description. Fear is not your enemy. Unexamined fear is your enemy. Every trader feels fear. Jesse Livermore felt it. Paul Tudor Jones feels it. Every professional trader throughout history has felt it. The difference is not whether you feel fear. The difference is what you do when fear arises. Amateurs react to fear. Their amygdala takes control, and they make impulsive decisions they later regret. Professionals respond to fear. They recognize it. They name it. They use their protocols. They execute their systems. You now have the 5-type framework. You have the neuroscience. You have the philosophy. You have the practical protocols. The question is, will you use them? Download the Fear Mastery Workbook. Link in the description. Complete the fear profile assessment. Identify your dominant fear. Implement your first protocol. Start today. And if this video changed how you understand fear in trading, leave a comment and tell me. Which of the 5 fears dominates your trading? Subscribe to this channel for more trading psychology. Every week, we explore the mental and philosophical frameworks that separate consistent traders from everyone else. I'll see you in the next one.